What's going on, people? Welcome to United View, man. Happy Monday. It is match day. Welcome to the morning view. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Make sure you like the channel, like the video, should I say. There is a big show for you this morning. Late last night, after we'd finished the full view and the full view extra, if you know, you know, check those both out, by the way. Full view was really good, and the full view extra was on playback, a new platform that we're doing some extra bits of content on. But after we finished that late last night, you're just trying to wind down, get ready, you know, take in the latest Drake and Kendrick disses, see what's going on. I know Owen was doing that. He was in his bag checking on the latest Kendrick and Drake updates. And then you get all over it, mate. He is all over it. And then you get this breaking news that was all over Sky Sports Germany, Sky Sports here. Like, there was a lot going on. More from the extended presser from Eric Ten Hag as well. So much going on as well. So strap yourselves in, guys, because it's going to be a massive show. There's already a lot of you here. 50 likes through the door straight away. Let's get to 250 likes. You guys know with the baseline that we set. And as we get more viewers watching, we will increase that number. But 250, easy. We're going to be talking Ten Hag to Bayern. Now, before you do the whole, you're just pushing agenda. You just want him out, flex of Owen. This is your fault. You negative. No, we're just discussing what are legitimate stories and reports from really legitimate and credible people. Sancho return as well. Eric Ten Hag was quizzed about that. Luke Shaw fitness update as well. And of course, everything else in between. And of course, it's match day. But the big one straight from the top was the stuff about Bayern München being interested in Eric Ten Hag. It's a real thing.
Yes, it is a real thing. We spoke about this the other day, didn't we? Saying that it was Christian Falk who had first kind of hinted at it or reported it on social media, saying that after the managerial sort of merry-go-round that Bayern have found themselves in, with the likes of missing out on Alonso, on Nagelsmann, Ralf Rangnick rejecting them, they've turned their attention to Eric Ten Hag because, of course, with Eric Ten Hag's future up in the air, as it still is, they've sort of said, well, let's see what happens with Eric Ten Hag. Would he be interested? There is, of course, ties, given that he was the Bayern Munich 2 coach several years ago. And then, as you say, last night it got a lot more credible, particularly when it comes to Bayern actually reaching out to Eric Ten Hag's representatives to say, hey, there is interest. So let's get into all of this because, again, there's quite a few different bits here. So Florian Plettenberg said last night, quote, news on Ten Hag after the rejection of Rangnick, he's back on the list of FC Bayern. There were talks between Bayern and Ten Hag's management in the last weeks. No direct talks with Ten Hag yet. His future at Manchester United is still uncertain. He would like to fulfill his contract until 2025. However, if it's certain he has to leave at the end of the season, then he's ready for Bayern. And interestingly, 2 more teams have already expressed concrete interest in Ten Hag. Now, it also says that Bayern are also considering several options at the moment because Ten Hag, whilst his future's up in the air, he's far from a certainty to leave Manchester United. Even Manchester United people don't know what's going on with him. So because of that, they are looking at other options, including Julian Lopetegui as well. Middlesbrough already has also written a piece and tweeted about this because this was kind of like a combination of Sky Sports over here and Sky Sports in Germany coming together to put out this report. She has said that Bayern Munich have registered interest in Eric Ten Hag as a possible successor to Thomas Tuchel. He is focused on finishing the season strongly with Manchester United and doesn't want any distractions. No formal talks have taken place with Ten Hag himself because that's what he wants, but he has been made aware of Bayern's inquiry. Now, to get a bit more in-depth in this, let's actually get into Melissa's Ready article because she wrote a very in-depth piece about this. Once again, saying Bayern Munich have placed Eric Ten Hag on a new list of possible successors to Thomas Tuchel, but his focus is steadfastly on Manchester United. But Sky Sports News understands the Bundesliga giants have touched base with Ten Hag's agent, Kees Voss, to inquire if the Dutchman would be open to taking over at the Allianz Arena. It continues by saying, again, no formal talks have taken place with the United head coach himself, but he has been made aware of Bayern's interests. Ten Hag, because he's been made aware of the interest, has communicated to his people that his sole focus is on finishing the season strongly with the Old Trafford side, who still want to secure European football and win the FA Cup. The 54-year-old, who, and this is quite interesting here, has been confident of remaining at the club beyond the summer, despite uncertainty over his position as Ineos makes sweeping changes to the football structure, is held in high esteem by Bayern. Now, this is a bit that got a lot of people talking as well, Flex, because Bayern's view does mirror some Manchester United fans' view when it says that Bayern's hierarchy believe Ten Hag's coaching has been hampered by a litany of off-field issues and a poor operational setup at Manchester United. His work at Ajax and his debut season in England has been given more credence than the current injury-riddled campaign in which Ten Hag also had to manage through a protracted takeover. Finally, it says, should Ineos decide to part company with Ten Hag at the end of the season, it is understood Bayern would not be the only potential suitors, with Voss and his SEG agency having fielded contact from 2 other clubs. So certainly the interest is real. As far as, is he cloak and dagger having talks with Bayern Munich? Not yet. He's aware of the interest. He's just like, okay, thanks for letting me know. My focus at the moment is finishing the season with United, trying to win the FA Cup, seeing where we can finish in the league, still planning for next season. But I suppose it's now almost a game of chicken in the sense of, well, if I'm pushed, I've got an offer where I can go somewhere else. And let's face it, he'll do well, probably, if he goes there. So it's a very, very curious one. He certainly has an offer to go elsewhere, or he could stay, and maybe it makes Ineos think twice about maybe getting rid of him.
This is really significant, man. It's really significant because, listen, Bayern are in a pickle. Of course, you could argue that they're now, Erik Ten Hag all of a sudden is now their 4th choice manager. You could go down that route. You could go down a route straight away, which I've seen many do, which is, this is exactly why we need to keep him. If he leaves, there are big clubs out there who can see that this guy's a good manager. He's had a difficult second season because of the injuries, because of how poorly Manchester United is run, all of the above. And he would go to Bayern with better players and do well. He's not a bad coach overnight. And it's also interesting for the people who can't wait to get rid of Ten Hag, who have been like useless, this, a fraud, this, that, and the other. You've now got one of the biggest teams in Europe saying, there's a job for you right here. So when I saw some people sort of, when Ralf Rangnick was in the running to go to Bayern, people who didn't like Ten Hag were like, see, Ralf, he's amazing. Let even Bayern. Now what you're going to say that Bayern want Ten Hag then? Does that mean that Ten Hag's good? Are you going to keep your energy? I don't know. Is he still a fraud? Are Bayern frauds now because they want him? There's so many different facets. And then some people say, look at the state of Bayern. You like I said, they can't get a manager. Ten Hag's 4th on the list. They're going to have like 3 or 4 managers within the last few years. They're very unstable. This is not the normal Bayern. So there's so many things you can come to the table and say. Now, let's just keep it Man United. From a Man United perspective, it also brings up loads of different scenarios as well and thought processes, because from our point of view, you could say, well, if he finishes badly and it all goes to crap, and it's just all over for both parties, Erik Ten Hag has a valid offer over there, huge offer, which obviously he will take. He's not going to not take that, in my opinion. But Ineos could look at it and say, there's a reason why they want him too. Like, are we missing something here? Let's get some calm. This season's going to end badly. Yes, we might get licks off Palace tonight. We could lose against Newcastle, get destroyed against Arsenal. Like, there's more bad stuff to come. But let's just get it over with and done with. And then we can start building with this guy under a new pretense, under a new structure, and see how it goes. Because he's not a bad manager overnight or in one season. That isn't the case. We know he's good. But Tuchel's there. Tuchel's right there. And we could almost do a swap deal. So if you are Ineos and you're worried about lack of suitors or it hasn't quite worked, so what would we do? There's literally one right there in Thomas Tuchel. So this is insane. This is crazy.
There's lots of different ways. There's lots of different ways to look at it, isn't there? I think that regardless of what side you're on, because you have to be on one, I think that people are using this news to further back their point. So if you're very staunchly, no, he's had a really difficult season, he's been really unlucky, really unfortunate, then they use this bit of news to say, see, Bayern Munich, they're going after him, so he must be good. And they're saying that he's had a hard time of it, so he should stay. Whereas if people are on this, no, I think we just need to reset. We need to go in another direction. We need to do this. They're almost looking at it as if to say, then go, get out of this sort of shit show kind of thing. So it is a really interesting one. I mean, I think we have to be very cautious of Bayern want him, so that means everything has been forgotten this season. I think we have to be really careful with that kind of narrative because, and as I've been saying for the last several weeks, I said it on Friday on the Trinity, there's still a lot to happen. There's still a lot to happen this season for both of those teams. You could have Manchester United. We were talking about it on the Full View last night. Like, there's a real possibility we might not get another point this season. And that momentum, and then you go into the FA Cup final as well. Who knows what's going to happen there? And then that momentum, that's like negative momentum. Thomas Tuchel, he could get in the Champions League final or win the Champions League. And that's the manager they're getting rid of as well, right? So I don't know. There's still, to me, when I'm reading that, there's still a lot of different things that need to happen. You know what I mean? They're like, well, Bayern are interested, but Ten Hag, he's going to he has to leave first. And then if he does leave, then maybe he'll be interested. So I don't know. I don't know about it. Would he do well at Bayern Munich? I'm sure he would. I'm sure he would do well with those players because they've got good players. They could play better than that. We saw it early on this season when we played Bayern Munich. We played them twice, and ironically enough, at the Allianz, definitely we should have done better, but they were still a better team than us. They've got better players than us, so I'm sure he would do better. But I do think it must be stressed. If you think the Bayern structure is what it was, let's say 5 years ago, it's not that. They're
going for a rebuild themselves.
They are
a rethink, a reshuffle.
Like last year they got rid of their CEO and all that because of what happened with the Bundesliga. They've gone through now a couple of managers in Julian Nagelsmann who they wanted back. Thomas Tuchel. It hasn't worked out there, and then there's reports of they might ask him to stay, and then Thomas Tuchel did an interview just the other day, being like, "Nope, I'm not staying because of all that's going on there." So there could be an argument as well of he could be walking into an environment that's just as chaotic, maybe, if the Ineos managed to, straighten it out at Manchester United too. So it's a really, really, really interesting one. But it's just yet another subplot, isn't it? It's another subplot that, let's say, hypothetically tonight we don't get a good result, then it will get louder. The longer that the Ineos ambiguity continues, which it will to the end of the season, let's face it, that will get louder. And I mean, if you're going to be really cynical, you could look at it as, well, maybe it's a bit of leverage, a bit of posturing from Ten Hag's side. Hey, because it's not just Bayern, 3 other teams as well. 4 people have already made inquiries of me, so I don't know. You should probably keep me around. So it's fascinating. It's a fascinating, again, subplot.
Yeah, it is. Red Baron says 80s and 90s hip hop is better than rap today. A little bit off topic, but I agree. Tabrez says they're not like us. Like us, they not like us. Yeah, there you go. There, people are talking about the rap battle, Owen. They are really. It's a big thing. Ray Carl Brown says, Flex and Owen, you bench 6 minutes late. Don't go on Twitter. You bench six minutes late because we were 6 minutes late to the show. Don't go on Twitter. I don't know. I'm a bit confused there.
We do what for like a Sancho thing, do a statement of that we were late.
Don't go on Twitter. Right. Okay. I'm with you. Red Baron says, Melissa Reddy is the only journalist in Sky Sports. What do you mean?
There are others.
Yeah, there are others. Big up to Javid, latest member of the UV Members Club. Nice one, Javid. Respect to you. Ray Carl says, I see Erik Ten Hag doing very well at Bayern. Harry Kane, Kim Min-jae. I think he will prove everyone wrong at Germany. We let him down at United, as we do. And Georges says, it's 4:20 in Atlanta. If you know, you know. Good morning, UV family. Again, right back to it. And Space Odie says, Ten Hag should drop a diss track on Ineos if they let him go. Open up the dossier.
With the one that Ray was saying there, and this is kind of because this is what is so like unique if the managers swapped. Because I mean, not directly in terms of buy and go, well, we'll give you our manager, we'll give you your manager, but they could essentially do a swap where the person last season who was the Man United manager could be the Bayern manager, and the person who was the Bayern manager could be the United manager. If Erik Ten Hag did go there, right? And again, this is where I say like there's still a lot of stuff to happen here. But if he did go there, and let's say he wins the Bundesliga next season, right?
Yeah.
Does that make him that he's done a better job than Thomas Tuchel?
Yeah, because Thomas Tuchel
Because
won it
Tuchel
last
won
year.
the
Then the last game,
Bundesliga.
yeah. But this is what I mean.
And that's when you get into the Champions League stuff. Like if Thomas Tuchel gets to a Champions League final or wins it, and I still don't think they get. Like I just think go to the Bernabeu is
Yeah,
probably
probably
too
just
much.
going to get
But
undone
the
against
Champions
it.
League, you never know. You never know,
Yeah,
especially in the latter
great
stages.
story.
But if he does, yeah. But if he say, I don't know. It's weird. Like what's the barometer at Bayern
No,
of
but
doing
Owen, it
well?
would change. No, but this is, and you're exactly right to go down this avenue. And this is when Run the Trinity, powered by Dangor, I was saying that there's a few clubs that like managers tend to go into, but don't come out that glowingly. They come out more damaged, or like the bar or the goalposts are either shifted or moved. Like I said about the PSG thing, like, well, technically, if you just don't win the Champions League, which is what they really really want, it's like winning Liga means zero in the in your managerial currency. It stands for not a lot because they dominate the league. They've won the league for the last however many times in a row. You haven't accomplished anything different or big there. The French Cup, if you win that, it's like, ugh, cool, whatever. Exactly the same in Bayern, probably worse. Like this is the first team the team's won it in what, 10 years? Different teams
Yeah,
won it,
maybe even longer. I don't even know when
even
the last team
longer.
was Dortmund. The last team was Dortmund, and that would have been
Right.
Klopp. So that's
To
like
the
what
point
2012, 2013, something like
to
that.
to the point whereby it's more news if you don't win it. Like, i.e.,
Mm,
like you should get sacked if you don't win it. That's the as soon as you don't win the league, you're sacked straight away. That's the minimum. Minimum requirement is we win the league every year. But once you do win it, it's like your stock doesn't rise up anymore, really,
and
does
it
it?
was the way they won it. In fairness, last year, like they won it because Dortmund
Last
didn't win
game,
it. Basically, you know,
bottled it
Dortmund
last
could have.
game of the
Yeah,
season.
exactly.
You know what I
That could
mean?
have
Nail biting
happened.
stuff.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
again, stylistically, again, it wasn't the way that we should be winning it because this is the Farmers League. We should be winning this by canter. We are way better than every single team and have bigger budgets, bigger players, bigger team, bigger club than all of the rest. The closest usually is Dortmund. And then it changes between, like you said, Bayern, Leverkusen 1 year. I don't know, bloody
Leipzig.
Wolfsburg, Leipzig, yeah, knocking on the door. That was it under Nagelsmann, actually.
Hmm.
Ironically, So, to your point, it will shift if Eric Ten Hag then goes over to Bayern Munich and wins. The people who were saying that he's rubbish and he's this and that will say just that. They will say, "Mate, they were doing
Doesn't
that
matter.
before." But if
Yeah.
Ralf Rangnick won it, they'll be like, "See, that's
Hey,
why he should." You know what I mean? But then the people who really love Eric will use that as absolute validation. He's just gone to the German Bundesliga and he's won the league straight away. They didn't win it last year with Tuchel. He's won it straight away off that
mm,
invincible Bayern team, Bayern Leverkusen team, because now they're the ones to beat because they were so good this year. Whoever undoes that now to make sure they
yeah.
go away is going to get the plaudits. And if it was Eric
Mm.
Ten Hag, the goalpost would just move.
That's the irony of it, isn't it? Like you said, Thomas Tuchel lost his job. I mean, they made the call early, didn't they? Because they wanted Xabi Alonso to be locked in early. So they made that call early with Thomas Tuchel when it looked very obvious, like they ain't going to win the league, and which, as many people have pointed out, like obviously Bayern haven't had the season that they would maybe want to, but is it really that bad to lose the league to a team that hasn't lost a game? Like it's not bad. It's not bad going, is it? And also, like you said, the barometer usually is the Bundesliga, but they're in the latter stages of the Champions League. So it's a really, the whole situation with Bayern, when you look at it, it's just a really strange one. Really, really strange. And then you factor in their structure, and then obviously then United then come into it. And as we've said several times, all of this with Ten Hag and going about, could he go to Bayern and he's got other offers? It just stems from the ambiguity. If things are left ambiguous, then people start to interpret it many different ways, don't they? They start to, other clubs, when they're looking for managers, because let's face it, Bayern are going like, who is going to be available? The people we thought are going to be available are no longer
They really are
available. So
struggling.
who
Yeah, they
else?
actually are struggling.
And that's not even to look down on Eric and be like, he's rubbish because he's fourth choice or whatever. That's just to say, like, they're resetting now and going, right, who is available and who could potentially be available in the summer? And they're looking at Eric Ten Hag and going, well, potentially, because he doesn't even know. The
Yeah.
fans don't know. Nobody knows what's going on, right? Even all of the people that are, when they're like, I think he's going to be there next season, or I think he's not going to be there next season. What do they have to say? I think, because there's no confirmation.
Yeah, they don't
Nobody
know. And the
knows
fact
what's
that
going
Bayern have
on.
come out so strong with these links and reports, like, Florian Plettenberg knows his stuff. Melissa Reddy, for her to go that strong on Sky Sports again, would have had to run it by a lot of people, a lot of clubs. I'll say, almost maybe both clubs, or definitely Bayern anyway, which would have come from Florian Plettenberg, who we know is very well connected at Bayern. I've seen it myself.
Bayern, yeah.
I spoke to the man across Sky Sports, the transfer window, and when the Harry Kane stuff was happening, people laughed, mate. People laughed. He said, "Yep, my sources are saying," or I've spoke to people here at Bayern, because he is the go-to guy there. They expect him to be traveling out on the plane. They expect him to be in the cup squad against was it Wolfsburg?
Leipzig.
Was it Leipzig? Oh, they lost in the end as well. But
Yeah.
we expect him to be in the team. We went, is he all right, mate? We don't even know if the deal's done yet, mate. You're saying he's going to be in the team on Saturday. He was in the team on Saturday.
Well, and let's face it as well. Let's face it, with the German reporting around the Bayern job thus far, they haven't been wrong, because all of the people that rejected them, they were right.
They have, yeah.
They were like, they want a Xabi Alonso. What then happens? Xabi Alonso does like a big thing going, "I'm staying," because he was linked and having talks with the Bayern job. When it was Nagelsmann, they were like, they want Julian Nagelsmann. And then what happens? He signs a new contract. He does a big thing going, "I'm staying." Why? Because he was linked and having talks with the Bayern thing. With Ralf Rangnick, he was offered or linked to the Bayern job, and he comes out and goes, "I'm staying with Austria." Why? So it's like, it's not as if their reporting's off or they're wide of the mark of, "Oh, these talks have never taken place." The talks have taken place. So when Florian Plettenberg says they've reached out to Erik ten Hag's agent, they have reached out to his agent, because Bayern have told him that's exactly what they've done. So the story is real, but then the other part of it, which you can't ignore in the story, is the part of Erik ten Hag going, "Okay, cool, thanks for letting me know, but at the moment, I'm just focusing on what's going on. Business as usual." How many times have we said that phrase over the last several weeks and months? Business as usual until they're told otherwise.
Which it should be, because there's 4 games left plus a massive cup final.
Exactly.
And I'm pretty sure, and that's what's going to make this even more insane, is that as soon as that final whistle goes in the FA Cup final, if it's a win or a loss, all attention will turn now to a lot of things: transfers, futures of the manager, Ineos decisions. Has Dan Ashworth been ratified yet or sorted? Like, it's all gonna, like, we are in for a hell of a summer. Like, and especially, and then one of the biggest things, like we're saying there, is the manager. Until Ineos sort of come and say, because that's another thing. Do you think that once it's all said and done, there actually could be a statement from Sir Jim or Man to say, like, we're pushing forward with it, or would they just carry on,
well,
eventually,
it's
obvious?
Like
they would
I
have
said,
to say something, surely, wouldn't they, or not?
Yeah, like I just said, with those managers that rejected Bayern, what was the sort of common thread? They all came out and did a statement saying, "I'm staying." So eventually, you have to draw a line in the sand, don't you? Eventually, if he is going to stay, Ineos, I don't even know if it's for Eric to come out and go, "I'm staying," unless he gets like a confirmation from Ineos. But there needs to be something to say that he's not going anywhere. And I know in interviews recently he said, like, "I don't plan on going anywhere," or anything like that. But when you say
contract till 2025,
yeah, but when you do say that, it's still ambiguous, isn't it? It's still ambiguous. "I don't plan on going anywhere," but John Murtough didn't plan on going anywhere. John Murtough was business as usual. And I remember saying that at the time when John Murtough went. That is the example for him. It was business as usual, business as usual, business as usual. Oh, he's gone. Like, and that could be the same thing, or it's business as usual. Then a confirmed, yep, Eric, he's going to be here next season. They're planning for it. He's been part of these recruitment meetings. He's been part of this planning for the preseason tour. But that would be the case for any manager. I also saw people last week going, would Erik ten Hag been allowed to have done an interview if he was going to get sacked, which I think is one of the most sort of nonsense takes, because yes. Frank Lampard did interviews last season as a Chelsea coach. Like, there are media obligations. That's what happens. Like, he's there. It's Monday Night Football on Sky Sports, so he's going to do an interview. That's got really nothing to do about his future or anything like that. So I'm still with the mindset of, like, there's still more stuff to happen. There is still more stuff to happen. There is still more data that I think Ineos are looking for. They might have an idea of what they want to do in their head regarding all of this. But I think that, you look at the games we've got remaining and the FA Cup final, depending on which games we win, and if we win a trophy, that could sway things in the favor of Ineos, where they go, yep, not a lot of alternatives. Yep, It's expensive. Let's just stick with what we've got and let's see it out. Let's see if Eric can work with the people above him. Let's get some players out and maybe it'll be a bit better. Let's hope next season we don't have some more the injuries that we've had, the disruption. Let's give it a go. And that might happen. If it goes quite badly with these remaining games and we don't win another game this season, on top of that, it looks like the main alternative to Ten Hag, Thomas Tuchel, let's say he wins the Champions League and his agent, and his agent's actively going, I'd really love a move to Manchester United. Ineos, they might get the side eye. They might go, actually, that'd be a bit of momentum. The guy
and even if he doesn't,
maybe
if he doesn't win the Champions League, where he's just available.
Well, yeah, exactly.
Even if he goes out semi-final, I'm saying he's just available.
Maybe. But that's what I mean. But like it might be.
But that's what I get into if he gets further.
Yeah,
even
that's
more.
what I mean.
Yeah.
That's when it gets into momentum, isn't it? If he goes out in the semi-final, then it might be. Then it's even playing field as it is. And then
so if you're saying if the momentum was basically the momentum went down for Eric Ten Hag, but up for Thomas Tuchel, or vice versa,
exactly.
or it remained par. Like they both, say they go out tomorrow or whenever it is against at the Bernabeu.
Yeah,
we don't win another game. It's this,
or we win, or we get a couple of points. We don't win the FA Cup. It
doesn't mean anything.
Maybe we sneak into Europe, 7th place or something like that, and you sort of go, well.
So you still think that because remember we was talking about this on Flex and KG show, or was it Full View? One of them anyway. When you I think it was not Flex KG show, Trinity. I think you was more saying there's still a lot to play out, even with the 4 games plus the cup final. You feel like that pendulum can swing and mean something.
Swinging from game to game, it is.
Yeah.
When we conceded the 4th goal against Coventry in the FA Cup semi-final, KG was saying Eric Ten Hag out. I said that's it for Eric Ten Hag. It got disallowed, and he's Eric Ten Hag back in. That's the space of a minute, let alone a game. Like it is. Like momentum's a funny thing.
Do you know what? It's so true about the momentum and the perception, even in a short space of time. But there's something I just can't shake it off of you're so unsure. I know we are as fans, but as the decision makers, I'm trying to work out, is it worrying that they're just leaving it so late to really think, but if he does this one little thing and shows us a bit in 4 games, then that means he's a guy, versus, if he doesn't show anything in that time, it means he's not the guy. Or my thing is, should they have been able to make their mind up already?
Maybe, but the other thing is the market does change, and this is like we were saying about how the managerial market's turned on its head in the space of 6 weeks. That's also when I say stuff can happen. So this pool of managers and these jobs that are available, a lot of them people have stayed, or people can't hire. I'm sure that there might be people at Liverpool that are thinking, Klopp, you kind of picked the wrong year to leave, because if you'd have left maybe next year, maybe we could have actually got Xabi Alonso or someone like that, because they got their 3rd choice, and that's a big job. The third, to get your 3rd choice to replace your most successful manager in 30 years, that's not ideal.
Well, we got our first in Moyes and it didn't work.
Yeah, well, exactly. But then you look at even then say Bayern, and this is why I still think Ralf Rangnick turned it down, because I think he thought, I'll probably be in this for a year, because next year, when these other managers become available again, or someone else becomes available, I'm gone. I'm 3rd choice. I'm not the guy. So the managerial market.
Would Ten Hag think that? I'm 4th. Would he?
No. But what I mean is, from an Ineos point of view, they might go, well, actually, again, that we've heard the reports for months, and this is when there were managers available going, no viable alternatives, costs a bit of money. Maybe they'll just go, it's just not worth it. There's a lot of change going on. Let's give him another year. Let's see what happens. Let's see if we can, let's work together with him with a transfer window and see if we can do something. Let's see if we can see a turnaround. And then by Christmas, we might look elsewhere. So I still think that, look, in their mind, they've got an idea of maybe where they're going to go. But I still do think circumstances recently have been changing so quickly, so much. And until they draw a line in the sand, until the ambiguity is parked to one side, we're going to be having these conversations. And my words, how divisive has it gotten already? You know, and it's it's crazy.
Even Ruben Amorim, just some quotes there coming up from him. I know we knew it was kind of over, but there was talks of him maybe even going bloody West Ham at one stage. I'm staying at Sporting. I'm under contract, and it's a special moment for me, for the club. Now we will try to win the third title together. Let's try to make it happen again. Like you say, no, in this managerial thing,
he was on the plane the other day.
Liverpool fans, like, we finally got him. It's happening. You know, this, that, and the other. They end up with someone they probably ain't even heard of. Well, even Amorim, they were a bit thing about. Then, you know, Slot now, they definitely didn't expect him. And then Amorim's not going anywhere. After all that, Xabi Alonso not going anywhere. Xavi not going anywhere.
He was going to go to West Ham, wasn't he? Amorim, he got on the plane to go to London. Had some meetings with the West Ham board. Flew back. Next press conference went, that was a massive mistake. I shouldn't have done it. You know, so like the managerial market is just.
Now Lopetegui might go to West Ham.
Lopetegui might go, but then Florian Plenberg saying that Bayern want him. So again, like this managerial market, and Ineos have said this for a while. Like, maybe there's people just aren't out there at the moment, and because of that, and because of the changes that we've got, but Thomas Tuchel will be out there, and again, and it'll be interesting to see what he's out there with. Is he going to be out there with a Champions League medal or Champions League runners-up medal, or is he going to go to the Bernabeu this week, get pumped like 3 or 4-0, and be like, screw Thomas Tuchel, what's he talking about? He went,
and even that doesn't mean
that could happen. People be like, see, definitely not.
None of them mean anything. If you think he's the right guy, it shouldn't hinge on whether he beats Real Madrid at the Bernabeu tonight. And if you don't think he's the right guy, it shouldn't be, again, because of that game. It's because of what you think he can bring to Man United, his experience in the Premier League, how it went at Chelsea as a parameter. If you think like, no, that was just really poor, he falls out of it. Because I just think there's some really lazy analysis on Thomas Tuchel personally. Call me, you know, you just want the manager out flex. If that's your opinion of what my opinion is, that's fine. I can only tell you what I think. And I just think when discussing Thomas Tuchel, there's this really lazy narrative that he's a terrible manager and just falls out of everybody and he's washed. And I just don't see that personally. I think he's still a very good manager. Does it mean I want Ten Hag thrown out and he's a bum? No, it doesn't mean that. I haven't said that. That's not what I think. If Ten Hag stays on under this new structure, again, I'm not mad. I'm not mad at that. I can see why they would do it. But like Owen says about the momentum and stuff like that, with what's left of the season, depending how it goes, I think that could seal fate for good or for bad. We'll have to wait and see. Will Ten Hag be United's manager next season? 68% of you have said yes. So definitely in the poll, 337 votes. People are very much thinking that Eric will still be here next season, regardless of all of this Bayern talk. We're at 220 likes, so we're nearly at 250. Let's get that in the bag. And then we can move on to bigger and better likes, more likes for the channel. And make sure you guys subscribe as well if you haven't done already. Spice Odie, I read that one. Sanjit says 2024 and United have no centre backs and left backs. A laugh or your cry situation. Only one striker for majority of the season too. And these are the real mitigating circumstances.
Absolutely.
That are, you know, really there. And Eric Ten Hag spoke about that in the presser, which I'm sure we'll look at. Moving on, Jadon Sancho, Owen. Is he coming back? Yes or no?
Well, Eric
if
Ten
you
Hag
say no, you've got an agenda.
Well, you've got an agenda. You said Thomas Tuchel's not a bad manager, which means you want Eric Ten Hag gone. You've been twerking for him to go flex, and yeah, that's what it means. No, he was asked about him once again, Eric Ten Hag, in the embargoed part of his press conference last night, and revealed that Manchester United have been keeping in touch with their player, as is kind of par for the course of loan moves, it must be said. But Ten Hag said, we are visiting his games. We visited, I would not say all of the games, but we have seen more games from Dortmund where Jadon was performing. We also had a visit with him. We had a talk with him during his stay there, and we will keep going with this process. We will continually be in contact and communicate. We have 4 important games in the league and then the FA Cup final, so we will see in the summer what's going to happen. Now, obviously, this is my, I think, another great example, Flex, of how you have to be careful with what he says in press conferences, because when he says we, I don't think Eric Ten Hag has been in touch or on the phone with Jadon Sancho.
He means the establishment.
You never know, but the likelihood is, I mean, you did a chat with Julian Lescott, didn't you, on the channel? And he was the lone coach. You know, he was a lone coach. And there are some people's responsibilities, which is if someone goes out on loan, they just touch base with him, or they go watch his games, or they have conversations with Dortmund and go, hey, how many games is he playing? How well is he doing? Blah, blah, blah. Like that's
100%.
what it is. So
There
when
is
he's
no way it was him,
so,
Owen.
so
No
when
way.
when
Straight up.
he's saying we visited him a few times and we've seen some games or we've had some conversations, we'll see happen in the summer. That is not Erik ten Hag picking up the phone and going, Jadon, let's put it all behind us or anything like that. Like, no.
Would have been
That's
interesting
not
if
the
one of
case.
the reporters said, Eric, sorry, just to clarify, was that you personally? Have you spoken to
Yeah,
him?
have you
That
spoken
would have
to
been
him or
really
anything
interesting.
like
Because he would have said, we have a team. The team, he
there's
would
a
have said,
process?
there's a process. Our team, we as a club, he said, we as a club have been in contact with Jadon. It's clear. Like he
Yeah.
would have said something like that. But 100,000,000%, if that's even the number, right?
Good.
It is not Erik ten Hag picking up the phone going, so Jadon, what's the latest? How you feeling? Like, are you good there? Like, are you getting the minutes you think you need? How are
Yeah.
you feeling fresh? Yeah.
Ready to
Oh,
come
watch
back.
the game here. No chance. It's not going to happen. That's the whole reason the whole thing collapsed because they don't talk. Their working relationship is broken up.
Yeah.
Ten Hag doesn't want to speak to him until he says sorry, and Sancho don't want to say sorry and don't want to talk to him. And he's basically on a leave me alone vibe. I'm in Dortmund. I'm living my life now. That's what it is. And as a duty of care and being professional, yes, like you said, the loan coach or whoever's job that is within the organization absolutely would be ringing Jadon, or maybe not even speaking to him direct. To be fair, it might even just speak to the bloody Dortmund people, saying,
You
"Right, what's his
protect your asset,
stats?"
don't you?
Yeah, I mean,
You protect your
exactly.
asset. And
Yeah, he's still our player.
yeah, and he's
Still in
and
contact.
that bit of the summer where I guess we'll see what happens in the summer. Again, you can look into it, I suppose, how you want to. Going, oh,
He's
does that
coming
mean
back.
that means he's going to come back? Look, there's a possibility that Sancho could come back to Carrington because the deal was not figured out or whatever.
Oh yeah, that would happen.
But he'll be in the same situation like he was before, where he'll be
Yeah,
training away from other people. You know,
and they'll
so
probably avoid that happening by saying,
just
"We
don't
know
come back.
that there's something." Yeah, like
Go
yeah,
train, individually somewhere, pick a
yeah,
place, or
yeah.
to
Then
stay in Germany or something like that. It might
yeah,
be
they might
something
come
like
to some
that,
sort of
to be
agreement,
honest
yeah.
with you.
Or
Yeah,
we'll
that
allow
makes
you
sense.
we know we're gonna do a deal with Dortmund, so we'll allow you to still
Yeah,
stay in their team
you
training.
can
You're allowed.
go to like Dubai, do a training camp there or whatever until we figure out that could
Yeah,
happen, I
I think that
suppose.
will happen because once you bring him back into the fold, into Carrington and in the
Yeah.
locker room, and it changes everything. But do
Mm.
you think, and I know your pushback was about the controversy and I've seen a lot of Man United fans on social media and ones I've spoken to said, no, he disrespected the club. Like he said that he didn't want to play because he had an argument with the manager. He made himself unavailable. I've seen a trait there, not saying me personally, I'm saying what people have said. I've seen a trait that I don't like in a player because he's down the tools essentially. So even if he did come back under a different manager, I don't want to see it. But let's say Thomas Tuchel was here. And it is a different Man United. Could there be a different situation if Thomas
I
Tuchel said to Ineos, "Listen, I like this player. He would have been he's a player that I've really liked. I tried to get him at Chelsea. Actually, it didn't happen. So Jim and stuff like if you're willing to bring him back under a new slate, I can make it work. Let him work with me." Could you see that? Forget the fans for a second. Forget us. From a business point of view, from a Jadon point of view, would
I
he
don't
want to
know.
work under Thomas? No.
No, I don't think so. I think from a Sancho point of view, I think even if there was a change in manager or whatever, I think he's realised. I mean, I can't get his head. I don't know, but you can see by the way he's playing, and certainly some of the reporting would suggest this. I think Florian Plettenberg said this, like even if Ten Hag is the manager or not, he's just got no interest in going back to Manchester United. I think like sometimes you go move away, and and you're not enjoying it, and then you go back to where you go back home or whatever, and then when you're back home, you go, I ain't going fucking back. Like not a chance. Like I didn't realize how much I liked it here until I moved away, and I just don't think he wants to go back to Manchester United. And I think for the sake of his career, he should stay where he's happy and he's playing best. And I think for the sake of Manchester United, it's the latest line of a long line of transfers that hasn't worked out. I think the conditions that he's got to succeed at Dortmund, he will never get at Manchester United. He will not get those, even regardless of who the manager is, regardless of the setup that Ineos put in place. I just don't see him getting those circumstances to succeed, really.
Mm.
And United are in fundraising mode in the summer, and they've got a player that's done a good performance in a Champions League semi-final, so that tax some value onto him, and see how much we can get for him. If Dortmund don't want to pay up, then let's see if someone else will. But I just think with all of that stuff, with Sancho, with Greenwood, with whatever, there just needs to be a lot of moving on, doesn't it? There needs to be a lot of moving on for Manchester United. Whether And it's not even to the point of whether, you believe the reports of like, whether he was late or his attitude, because you get some people that say like Ranić, oh, I never had a problem. But of course, Ranić wasn't there the whole time that Jadon Sancho's been there. So you don't know. You get people at Dortmund that say, well, when he was here, we didn't have any problems. But then you get other reporting saying, well, there were some problems, but they managed to deal with them more effectively. Park that to one side. The thing you can say is he's not here at Manchester United. He's playing better because he's not at Manchester United. So logically, you would say, well, stick where you are. Stick where you are. That's how you're going to get back to where you need to be. So I wouldn't bring him back. And even if Thomas Tuchel, well, whoever is the manager, or excuse me, the head coach of Manchester United, whether it's Ten Hag, if Ten Hag's the head coach, then definitely he's not going to be coming back. But if it's Thomas Tuchel, whoever is this new head coach at United, if there is a new one, isn't going to be necessarily involved in recruitment. So I suppose it's partially, not really, their call. I suppose they have an influence on it, but it's on what Dan Ashworth and Omar Barada and Jason Wilcox deem the best. And maybe they just might think, let's move on. Let's raise some funds.
Breaking news. It's not about us. Exclusive from Romano. Julian Lopetegui has agreed terms with West Ham to become new head coach, replacing David Moyes from next season. Lopetegui has accepted West Ham United's proposal, ready to proceed to formal stages. Details being finalised, then contracts will be signed, but agreement in place. One less manager on the merry-go-round for Bayern.
So that other one that Florian Pembo is going again. This is what I'm saying.
Trickles into our business a little bit,
Yeah. One less Bayern, which means they might focus more on Eric. But that is. Yeah, I don't know if you saw West Ham play yesterday, Flex, against Chelsea.
I saw the highlights, but no, they got licked 5-0. I saw the goals, so yeah, because they're done out here now, isn't it?
Yeah, they don't care. They don't care. Yeah. So yeah, that's another one off the merry-go-round.
Yeah, sure. Anton will be happy there. Let's see what he's saying in the group there.
Will he?
He said, he does. I tease him a little bit because they try to call me mix zone flex all the time because they think that I don't say what I really feel because I want to be in the mix zone.
Right.
So I say, well, Ambassador Anton, mate, you're Mr. West Ham. You won't say anything about David Moyes.
Yeah, the last time you were in the mix zone was with Anton.
Yeah. But he said, what did he say? No, he said, he's always said, to be fair, he thinks that David Moyes should leave when he wants to leave. Like, he's done so much for football club. He's bought a trophy, should be celebrated, shouldn't be hounded out, should go on his terms. However, he does think at the end of the season, it's best that they both, in a nice way, wants him out. But he does respect him because, he is West Ham through and through in it, and he's bought them a trophy. So.
They do this, though, West Ham, don't they? They do this where they get like the old-fashioned manager in because they need him. Then they go, look, we're better than this, and they go get a Pellegrini, they go get a Slaven Bilic, and it all goes wrong, and they go back to Moyes.
We need a Sean Dyche.
We need Sam Allardyce. Can you come in?
Yeah. we just need to stabilise. We keep fighting relegation every year, so let's.
Honestly, Flex, I don't even.
But then again, so do we, Owen.
I don't think you're a million miles off with that one. I wouldn't be 18 months' time or in 12 months' time, considering what's going on with Everton at the moment, that they go to Sean Dyche, look, mate, we might need you
absolutely
to do something.
But also, it's that same sort of thing of what we are actually going through, where we want to take the next step up and we keep not being able to do it, and then we have to go backwards. Like Ollie said, we played a certain way, which not really the Man United way, but it worked a bit. Want to take the next step, can't do it, get sacked. Eric Ten Hag wants us to take this next step this year. Too many injuries, players missing, can't do it. Worst season ever. Like, then we might get a new manager. I don't know. Like, we tried to take the next step for the last 11 years. Keep changing manager as well. It's literally us. Ash OD says, let's not forget, it's not just having good players. We need to start thinking about player cohesion. Try to even play Sancho at a 10. Wasn't working. Ray Carl says, Sancho will have 9 out of 10 every week. To win back the club flex. And Owen, I think his head is out. P.S. Love your wrestling channel, Owen. Big up. Big up to you. Big up to you, Owen. Yeah, big up to you. Owen Wrestling 6365555. Nearly 1,500 people watching, 300 likes. So let's push on, guys. Let's get 500 now. There's no reason why. That'll be if we get 500, that'll still be 1,000 of you who haven't liked the video. So I'm pretty sure. Very good. Very good. which is why I'm really sure we can do it. Which should be more. Should be the 750 with 1,500, but we're not going to go extra. 500 likes, guys. Luke Shaw, Owen, he's
I was
back.
going to say, did you say you're sure we can do it? Because I thought it was going to be an excellent transition.
No, I'm not.
Speaking of Shaw, speaking of Shaw, Luke Shaw could be on the way back. Erik ten Hag was asked to do about a part of his press conference more about signing a left back in the summer, or targets for the summer, squad depth in the summer. And Erik ten Hag said left back depends on availability from Luke Shaw. He will be fit. He's returning already on the pitch. We expect him back in the coming weeks. But with Malacia, it depends on his availability, whether or not we
Hold on a minute. So he's not actually back now?
Well, he's on the grass.
I done a KG. I just saw the video of it and thought he's back. Wicked. He's big play against Palace.
He's not playing.
No, he's not back. He's back in. Well,
I just praise you for your maths. Now I've got to push back on your reading, Flex.
My comprehension's down, but my numeracy's up.
He just saw Shaw fitness. He went, he must be back.
Well, because he said he's. Oh, let me go back there. He said he's coming back.
He said once again, left back depends on availability from Luke Shaw. He will be fit.
He is returning.
He is returning already on the pitch. We expect him back in the coming weeks. But with Malacia, it depends on availability. I think what you just saw, maybe the first sentence. Depends on availability. He will be fit.
I saw what I wanted to see.
That's why it's important with these press conferences. I always say, you've got to see the questions that they ask and in the context in which they're answering the question. Because if you just see he will be fit and you go, well, if he's talking about tomorrow, that's great. But he was more talking about the squad depth thing in the summer. But he will be on the way back. But then I suppose to pivot with this, then do we still need to sign a left back in the summer?
Of course. Absolutely.
How many?
Whether he's back or not, 2. Well, the Malacia one's a bit like he's been out for ages, so it's worrying. Like, hopefully he's going to be all right and can be the backup next year, like he's supposed to be a backup. And he did all right being a backup last year. I didn't, he was all right. I don't think he's the one though. He was just all right. He had some good games, showed some good passion, gets about, but on the ball, not for me. He's not.
Here's one for you. If we sign a left back, that is like just more readily available, so he would de facto he would become the number 1 left back because he's just going to be available for the games.
Yeah.
Do you think
has to be better than Shaw though?
Well, I don't know if he will.
I need him to be. I don't just want him to just be available. I need him to be like good.
No, you want to look for quality. But let's face it, if we had a left back that was available all season, this season, they'd be the starting left back. And then when Luke Shaw came back, he'd be like, tough shit, mate. You've just not been available.
Yeah, the decision needs to be made to move on from him.
Yeah. So my point was going to be, because I don't think Shaw's going to go in the summer. That might be another one again. That's like a year's time or something. If we get this new left back that's more available and they're starting more games, what do you think happens to Luke Shaw's fitness issues? Do you think it could be a thing because he's playing less games, then he's more readily available on the bench? Or is he just the guy that is always going to miss a quarter, a half, 3/4 of the season? Is that just him at this point?
I think with that question, to be fair, you have to look at the evidence because he's always been the starter. So the demand on him has always been to play 38 games in the league, whatever it is in Europe, whatever it is in FA Cup. It's to play 50-odd games a season at Man United because you are the starter. That's always the demand placed upon you. We've not seen Luke Shaw with that demand not placed upon him. So we've always seen him fail at having to play Saturday, Tuesday, Saturday, Wednesday, Sunday, Thursday, or whatever it is. That's the demand on him. So you could push back and say, well, by that metric, surely if you ask him to play less, make him recover, he should be fine. But you don't know. Is it just the training that is just having to do it so consistently because he's professional football, has to train every day? Is that the issue? I would say it's more the games. He's trained every day for all his life. It's the level of games that he has to play as the number 1, which I would say is his issue, which he comes up injured in the games. And he usually gets injured in the games as well. After the game happens, it's usually report he's done this or he's done that. So I would say it's a bit of a guess because we haven't really seen it. But I would lean more towards if he has less demand on him, I think he would be more available. Yeah.
So I disagree. I think
you think his body's just broken from just.
Well, I just think that's just what he is. I think that's just, even if he played half as many games and he was on the bench for a lot of them, the moment he starts playing the games, he'll start getting injured.
Break down even.
Again,
Yeah.
And again, it's not to. I think most people would agree that if he's fit, Luke Shaw's a good player. He's a quality player, he's a good technical player. But I hate the phrase like if he's fit, because if you have to have that discussion of if he's fit, then that's already a massive red flag to me, because that means that's someone that's having injury problems and consistently not available. And I just think that we might have he might be more readily available, shall we say, if another left back's there, because he's not having to play as many games. But I just still think once he starts playing those games, I think he'll start breaking down again. And also, look, there could be something to be said. I mean, Ten Hag did sort of say it in his press conference last night as well, when he was talking about Bruno Fernandes. I can't remember. I think it might have been Jamie Jackson that asked him, saying like, are there some players in that squad that when it is 50-50, or let's say 75-25 of like, they could probably play through the pain barrier here. Are there some that don't do it? And he kind of obviously didn't answer that question, but of course there are. And I think that's one thing you could point at Luke Shaw going, sometimes he really, playing through the pain barrier, but then he might push back and say, well, when he played, this injury he's just got now, when he played against, was it Villa and Luton, when he played those 2 games, like when he hobbled off, and then it was like, well, he shouldn't have played at that point. So maybe he might push back.
He came off against Villa and then came back for the Luton one.
He played against it came off against Villa, and everyone was like, oh, he must be out then. And then when he started against Luton, people were like, well, that's surprising, because he limped off, and then he played like, was it 10 minutes, 15 minutes, and then he came off. So I don't know. I just think that that's a position we just need to move on. We need to find it. Definitely get a new left back in the summer. We're not going to get rid of Luke Shaw this year, I don't think. Again, I think that one's going to be a year or so's time. And look, maybe next season we might have the luxury of having like 3 left backs available at certain points. We shall see. I mean, Malassia's definitely not going to play again this season, is he? And I think at this point, for him, he should just be focusing on let's see if I can get back to playing regular football again. Because when you're out for a year with a knee injury, you've had 2 ops, that's not good. That's not good at all.
Yeah, exactly.
Particularly for a fullback, where it's about speed, explosiveness, and what have you. So for him, it's just about getting back at this point. But yeah, we need a left back. Oh my God, we've done the whole season without one basically. It's insane.
It's mad. I'm just comparing their 2 things. Martial's missed 12 games this season. Luke Shaw has missed 30. Is that right?
Is that it with Martial? 12 games?
23-24 season, it says here he's missed 12. He's got to have missed more than that. Last year, Luke Shaw had probably his best season, only missed 3 games. 22-23 season. And last year, Martial missed 27. Year before that, Martial missed 9 in the 21-22. In 21-22, Luke Shaw missed 18. Then he missed 18 the season before that. Then he missed 23 the season before that. 11 the season before that. 32 the season before that. 30 the season before that. 64 the season before that was when he broke his leg. Like, it's always massive double figures with Luke Shaw. Martial, to be fair, his injury record's better in that time. He's got a lot of single digits. Don't get me wrong. Last year, he missed 27 games. This year, 12. 21-22, he missed 9. Then he missed 17 after that. 12, 10, then 2, 2, 2. But Luke Shaw's from 14-15, that's when we bought him, innit?
Well, I suppose the argument you make...
31 games.
You can make in that comparison, can't you, with Shaw and Martial, is that when Shaw is available, he tends, not all the time, but tends to play all of tends to play complete 90 minutes. Whereas to the Martial yes, he hasn't completed a game in like 3 or 4 years, which is nuts.
Mental, man.
It's nuts. But I agree with your point. You got to keep the same energy. You can't cherry pick it and be like, oh, Martial's injury prone, so that's why we need to get rid of him. Luke Shaw, well, when he's available,
exactly,
like, not available that often. So
same with Varane as well. Varane's my favorite guy, but he's only been available for 50% of the game since he's come. So we can't build anything on that, regardless of how good you are. Like what Owen's saying, we've just complained all year about injuries. So why are we going to back players that are injured or injury prone,
or build around that?
Try to build around it. Like, it's
My
not a
best back
personal
four
thing.
has got 2 players, in Shaw and Varane, who you go, yeah, if they're available, it's great. They did great last season. But if they're not available, it's difficult to build around, isn't it?
100%.
Really difficult to build around.
Let's be real. They're not going to change that. They're not just going to get uninjury prone, are they?
No,
It's not.
no.
And I've been through that with Varane. We got to a point this year when I tell you what, he's actually been available quite a bit. Now he's not.
Well, and also
No, he's
as
not.
well, it was like he was available more this year, but also we've played significantly less games than we did last year. If Manchester United are going to be the peak of being successful, a bit like we were last year, and I understand we only won one trophy, but you're going to be playing, Wednesday, Saturday, or Thursday, Sunday, probably for us next season or whatever. There's got to be a lot of games, and it's very difficult to have a player that can only play, hard and fast once a week.
Exactly.
Once a week.
It's
You
really
can't really
stupid.
build around that.
No, you can't. You can't. Guys, well done. We're at 386 likes as we close the show. So basically 400. Didn't quite get to the 500, but we'll let you off. We'll let you off. You did your best. Big show this morning, man. Big show. Loads to talk about. Loads of big talking points. Loads of opinion from you guys. Just as we expected with the big news last night. But we'll have to keep monitoring things. And I'm sure that will not be, obviously, the last we hear of it. Match day today. Pessimists, versus optimists. Glass half full, glass half empty. No centre backs. How fit is Johnny Evans? How long can he last if he does start? Because we've got no centre backs. Can Scott McTominay make it? Again, how fit is he? I don't think Scott McTominay's going to make it. He was saying, like, it's not as bad as first feared, but I hyperextended my knee. Like, I've been a bit of trouble.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think he'll be back, but who knows? Bruno, injection city. Like, I don't know. We don't know what team. Prayer settings exactly.
Well, what I would recommend is on the Full View Extra on playback last night, which, by the way, again, be sure to join, and you can check out all the shows are saved there, so you can watch the replay of it. We got to predictions at the end, and they were not positive. They were not positive, any of the predictions. I think the only person who went with like Man United getting anything out of the game was Minna. There were 5 people on the panel. Like, it was not good.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't. It was and I really hope we're wrong, but I'm almost doing it. I'll be honest now. I can admit it. I'm almost doing it as a sort of coping mechanism. Like, I think we're going to lose today. So you know what? When I see it, when we do, I'm just going to I'm on the match for you tonight, guys. I might be a bit numb. I might just be.
You say that because we always say that when we go. Look,
no, but I promise it this time. I promise.
I'm the same because I'm like, look, we got no fit centre backs. Like, what are we expecting tonight? What are we expecting? But I'm telling you now, Flex. I'm telling you now, Flex. If we concede a goal, some shitty pass, and you're still gonna be going, see, this is the thing. And then Cage is going, what do you expect, Flex? You'll be like, shut up, Cage. What are you talking about, man? Where are your standards, Cage? He goes, I said this before the game, Flex. You'll be like, oh no, that's what it's gonna be.
Yeah, probably will.
And like KG said, the world will be watching Monday Night Football. Everyone watches, no but other games under the lights.
Like I said, mate, Elise with the headphones on like this, like a DJ, just chilling. Man of the match.
Afterwards, like that.
Man of the match, obviously cut in, good goal on that. Saw that it went in. I was happy.
What happened with the goal? Kicked it and it went in the net.
What happened with the assist? Obviously, Mateta.
Bastard.
Saw Mateta. He just crossed it to him and went in the net.
In the net.
You know what I mean? It's good stuff.
They'll go. Thank you, Michael. Thank you.
What a kid! What a kid, mate! I could just see it. He's good. Owen end the stream. We'll see you for the match later on and a road trip later on.
Yeah. We're out of it.